welcome back to another episode of Movie Bracket Challenge. So this is going to be my recap of Bambi. I will be honest, I was not looking forward to rewatching Bambi. I hadn't watched it since I was a child. Because I remember being very upset during this movie. And if you've seen the movie, you know why I was upset. But we're going to recap it because it actually is a Disney classic. And watching it as an adult, I had a different viewpoint. So I'm going to go over both viewpoints with you. Bambi came out in 1942. Bambi is a young buck, and his father is the great prince of the forest. His mother is not named. We just know her as Bambi's mother. I did love seeing Bambi make friends through the forest and his little adventures with his friends, Thumper and Flower, and they are so cute and they make no sense together, and I just love their friendship and their adventures. I have to say Flower was probably my favorite character in the movie. The skunk is sassy and sweet and curious. Thumper is also funny and definitely Bambi's best friend. So I loved watching their relationship grow through the movie and just how fun and curious they are because they all grow up together. Halfway through the movie was upsetting. We did learn throughout the movie that the deers have to avoid open fields because that's where the man is. The ones that will hunt them. So you have to avoid that. However, we do see Bambi and Bambi's mother go into sort of an open field for food. And while we're there, there's a shot. They start to flee because they can being hunted and there's a shot. And all of a sudden Bambi is alone. When I was a kid, that's what I remember about the movie. And I was so upset that they had killed Bambi's mother. As an adult, I'm still upset they did, but I also think that there are children who lose their parents young, and this shows Bambi continue on because it's actually only halfway through the movie, which I thought it was at the end or at the beginning, but it's actually halfway through. So we see Bambi still grow up. And still, he's been in love with the same female doe, Faline, through growing up. But we see him continue to grow. We even see Bambi become into the great prince of the forest. He takes on his father's role at the end of the movie. And we see that you get through it, and we see the life lesson in there, that there is a cycle of life, and it's not always easy, and a lot of times it's hard. I think Bambi is a Disney movie that is sometimes pushed to the side because it's such a hard topic, but I think it's such an important topic to have too, because people do lose their parents. Sometimes you lose them very young. I lost my dad just a couple years ago, so I was older, but I don't ever feel like I was old enough. And I think Bambi is an important lesson because Bambi gets through it and Bambi grows up. We see Bambi age and still have a life after the mother, and it's a circle of life, and that's amazing and such an important lesson that I don't think we appreciate as children. We just see the mother die, and it's traumatic and it's difficult in such a fun, loving movie with the Thumper and the Flower, who are best friends and going on adventures and exploring the forest together. We get this real life lesson in the midst of all the fun. So these are important because life is fun and we should always find a reason to smile, but there are traumatic moments that are going to happen to all of us. And good or bad days, we get through it, and I think Bambi's an important lesson. So for a movie I didn't want to watch, I'm glad I did. And I'm glad that as an adult I can appreciate it a little bit more and a little bit differently. than I did as a kid because I have to tell you, I saw it and I never wanted to see it again after Bambi's mom died. I am curious what everybody else thinks of this movie, and have you rewatched it as an adult? Because I know I didn't want to. So, when it was on the list and my sister put it on the list, I was like, "Oh, I don't want to cover Bambi," and she's like, "Yeah, me either. It's hard, but it is a Disney classic," and it is. And the colors in the movie are great. And for a movie that came out in 1942, they did amazing in this movie, just looking at all the graphics and all the characters and the colors they still have in this movie. Um, it's not Pixar colorful, but it's colorful and it's beautiful to see the nature and the cycle of life in the nature, because it's definitely relatable. I love One of my favorite parts in the movie was actually the very end. You see Bambi with the father in the background, and it's just sort of like an acknowledgement, like passing the torch or Bambi taking his spot in life and where he's supposed to be now. And his father sort of stepping down and acknowledging that Bambi is the new leader of the forest, new prince princess it is. So I thought that was beautiful and touching, because I thought the father was kind of cold through the movie and not very loving, not very supportive of Bambi. But we see in the end that he was just making Bambi tough enough to get through this life, and you do need that. There was a balance between Bambi's father and Bambi's mother. Bambi's mother was much more the soft-hearted, much more the caring, the nurturer. The father was much more the stricter one. But you need both sometimes. So I thought that was great and a great lesson. What are everybody's thoughts on Bambi? And is Bambi your vote? And do you like Bambi as an adult differently than you liked it as a kid? Or did you like it as a kid? Because maybe I'm like in the minority that was like, I don't want to see it again. Um, Let me know what you think of Bambi. Let me know if it's your vote. I'm really curious how Bambi does in this. It is one of Disney's original classics. So thank you for joining me, and thank you for going through this recap. Bambi is not an easy movie to watch. So let me know what everybody thinks. Thanks, everybody. Okay, so this is my recap of Lion King. The movie came out in 1994. It is a Disney classic from the moment it came out, at least in my mind. Um, Lion King, I literally have the playlist on my Apple Music. I love all the music that came from this. I remember singing it in school. It was a very big deal when this movie came out, and the music. And any movie with James Earl Jones doing a voiceover has to be an incredible movie. I'm just saying. The movie is iconic. The birth of Simba, we see at the very beginning, and Simba being going up to the end of the cliff, and all the animals who've come to celebrate Simba's birth. It's beautiful. Simba will eventually be the king, so he will take his father's spot eventually. So they're celebrating the new prince, the future king. Mustafa, the father, the king, tries to teach Simba all about being the future king. Mustafa respects all the animals. He appreciates all the life that he has around him, values where he is, and appreciates being king. And he tries to teach his son all the lessons that he thinks he'll need to know. Um, the hardest part in the movie for me was seeing Mustafa sacrifice himself for Simba and be killed because his own brother came up with a plan to become the king, which meant he had to get rid of his brother, Mustafa, and Simba, his nephew. And Simba doesn't know this, but Mustafa could have saved his brother, the king, but he chose not to. He actually caused the death. But Simba doesn't know this. So after Mustafa sacrifices himself for Simba, Simba is scared And instead of comforting his nephew, because that's not the plan, he tells his nephew that everyone's going to blame him. So Simba decides to run off, and Scar, his uncle, sends his little minions to go and kill Simba. But they don't. But Scar doesn't know that. He thinks that Simba is dead, so he is the new king. So he goes in and takes over. He takes over and ruins the beautiful kingdom. The animals leave, the forest becomes deserted and run down, and like just the life is gone from it. The greatness is gone from it. Meanwhile, Simba makes new friends. New music comes from these scenes. I love these characters. Timba and I'm always going to mispronounce his Pumbu. They take Simba under their wings. They teach him how to survive. They teach him about eating bugs, which is really gross. But they teach him how to survive on his own. And they think, well, having a lion around will be great. It'll save them. But really, they become a family, the three of them. And we get some great music scenes as we watch Simba grow up in this music scene and become his own. And it's beautiful and fun and colorful. And then eventually, the past catches up with Simba. He runs into his childhood best friend and, spoiler, his future wife and future queen. He runs into Nala. And at this point, Nala is all grown up too. Simba and Nala definitely are interested in each other, as we can see. Nala wants Simba to come back with her because he is the rightful king and he can save their world, their land, their pack. And Simba doesn't want to go back. He says if Nala knows the truth, she wouldn't want him back either. Nala says, you're being a wimp, basically. Get your butt up, grow up, and come back. Timba and Puma, sorry, I'm always going to mispronounce that, don't really want Simba to go, but they know he should go. So Simba runs into Rakiti. This is the monkey that knew Simba and was there when Simba was born to sort of, I guess, baptize him. When this is an iconic scene, I love the part where he hits him with the stick.
The weather, very peculiar, don't you think?
Yeah. Looks like the winds are changing.
Change is good.
Yeah, but it's not easy. I know what I have to do, but going back means I'll have to face my past. I've been running from it for so long. Ow! Jeez, what was that for?
It doesn't matter. It's in the past.
Yeah, but it still hurts.
Oh, yes, the past can hurt. But the way I see it, you can either run from it or learn from it. You see? So what are you going to do?
First, I'm gonna take your stick.
No, not a stick. Hey, where are you going?
I'm going back!
Good! Go on! Get out of here!
And Simba gets mad. He goes, doesn't matter. It's in the past. The past doesn't matter. He's teaching Simba lessons. And eventually Simba goes back. Scar is confronted by Simba. And Scar tries to get Simba to leave. He's also shocked that Simba is alive because, remember, his minions have told him that they had killed Simba as a pup. But Simba is there to take his rightful spot, and he will not back down to Scar. Scar tries to fight Simba, and all the lions are backing up Simba. But all the other animals that Scar has brought in are going to be on Scar's side. There is this big fight. There's this big fire that starts. And Simba ends up putting himself in a very dangerous spot. He ends up falling from the cliff almost. He's holding on, the same as his father did years before. And Scar goes to do what he did to Mustafa and Musasa. And he tells Simba at this point that Simba did not cause the death of his father, which is all Simba needs to know to get through this moment. And he ends up getting himself back up. And sadly, and I'm always sad when somebody dies, even in a movie, Scar ends up eventually falling from the cliff. And all the cheetahs run off, and the lions come together, and they rebuild. They restart. And then the land that they have loved comes back to life because they love it, and the rains are coming down, giving the earth the growth that it needs, the substance that it needs to rebuild. And Nala and Simba are together. And I love the part at the end because it's just like the beginning. It's the circle of life. We get to meet the next of the chain of next king. That will be Nala and Simba's son. So it's beautiful and it's touching and it's a great movie. I have some great memories from watching this movie, and I'm really excited to see if you vote for it. I'm excited to see in the comments if anybody has a favorite character from the movie. We'll definitely be talking more about Lion King on this channel because it does have a collection of movies, and you know I love a series. There are some great characters in this movie. It's a great story of the circle of life, and just the songs are iconic. I think it's one of those movies, like movies with Justin said, some movies are iconic from the second they are made because they are just made that good. And this is one of those movies. So thank you everybody for coming to my recap, and let me know if this is your vote. Bye. Don't forget to vote, 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 vote. Comment section and our community page.